Dr. Resh, we can start now.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. So, good afternoon, dear learners. Today, we are going to discuss on the role of NGOs in diaspora, civil society, and human rights. The wider perspective of how and what extent the NGOs, civil society, and the human rights are involving in the life of diaspora community and how they are participating and safeguarding uh, the rights of diaspora people and how they come as an organized group. So these are the discussions today that we are going to do. Uh, when we look into the diaspora organization that is contribute to both sending and receiving countries through. So the first is a socio-economic end that we need to know, providing remittances, financial support. So, in social perspective, also we need to understand, as we know that the meaning of the word diaspora is the scattering of seeds, right? So, uh, the diaspora as a organization, they have various type of organization they have. So they form in the host countries as hometown associations. So sometimes they come as a group or they come as the people of India or people of certain state. Okay, so they have a separate hometown association and they have a kind of what to say ethnic association. They have religious associations. So Hindus will come together as and Christians comes together, right? And they develop NGO over their non-governmental organizations, and they will come as an investment group, right? And political group as well. So they have various reasons to form a group in the host countries, and these are for to show that they are all united as well as they are all uh, one in those countries. And at the same time, they also come as an alumni association, right? And a research think tank and art cultural group, educational development group, and youth. So various terms they come together. So diaspora engagement in the homelands development. So what they do in the homelands, that's what the slide is here uh, gives us. Uh, the engagement of diaspora communities with their countries of origin, it is not new as at the same time it is evolving. So the recent development that have neighbor highlights the interest of the links between the diaspora engagement and development. So diaspora engagement as a term has been used for several ways, but it refers to a translocal activities, all right? Activities of migrants and their association for the socio-economic and political areas of their homeland. And uh, diaspora engagement is usually shaped by several factors. For example, their occupation, their economic conditions, their role of friends and community, religion, self-commitment, etc. So we need to look into the various aspects how this diaspora community is formed. What is the need for them to get formed? So some of the areas which diaspora uh, with the diaspora communities that we look into is a remittances, right? So remittances are considered as one of the significant forms of diaspora engagement. The focus of the diaspora communities is to provide financial contributions back to their family through remittances, right? So the term remittance refers to the private transfers from migrants to their families purposefully for the private consumption in their country of origin, right? So remittances are often then communities or individual migrants, right? So in the case of developing countries, remittances are an important sources of families. We know very well. We know that we also discussed in the previous class. Uh, People uh, are around 20 to 23 lakhs in Saudi Arabia country because of their family situations. And the remittances are as important source for families and main income of the family, and which contribute to the national economy also. So according to the International Organization of Migration, remittances tend to be utilized for three purposes, right? So IOM, that is International Organization of Migration, says that that is a family remittance and housing improvement, and that's a consumption for the conspicuous consumption, needed consumption, and the third one is productive activities. That is improvement of land, education, or health, or entrepreneurial, and all those things. So many studies found that remittances play an important role in the increased investment in education and health as well as other productive activities. And when we look into the other aspect of the diaspora communities in the homeland is investment, right? So apart from they supporting their family or uh, uh, paying the debt or paying for the education of the family and all those things, investment is another type of diaspora engagement with homeland, right? On the other than remittances, diaspora communities contribute to the economic development of their country of origin through foreign direct investment. Very, very important that FDI has been is uh, the main data which says about the investments of the people from other countries. So they possess an ownership in business as well as extend their networks at different places and contribute to the new developments in the country of origin. Uh, as we discussed in the early classes, the diaspora communities involved in entrepreneurship or business or startups than the people of who are not the diaspora return, right? Because of the risk taking is high among them, and the wealth they have uh, makes them to take those risks. So it is observed that the investors most likely to invest in their homeland as they have much knowledge and relationship opportunities of their homeland as compared to other investors, right? So they do invest in their homeland uh, there is because the knowledge and relationship opportunities in their homeland is high when compared to other counter persons. So they try to connect their knowledge with the skills, their knowledge uh, with activities and knowledge and networks they have learned abroad, which helps them synergic active advantages, right? So that is a main thing because what they have learned abroad, probably through education or through practice, they start their business here. For example, a person who has gone as a skilled professional uh, abroad, for example, as a doctor, as an engineer, as a professor or something, they come back and they start their own industry. They start their own entity to deliver the same skills because they have a handful of money with them, and risk taking is not a big deal for them. They just try, and they will be more innovative because they have seen around the globe how this particular profession is going on, whether they can stand on their feet. All those things can be with them out of their learning for a long time with the in other countries. So the purpose of diaspora investment is not guided by profit motives, but it may be guided by long-run consideration of establishing the base countries of origin. Probably because of the wealth they have, they will not, the aim is not to earn certain thing immediately or something like that, because they also move for uh, long-term perspective. So the motives and strategy of diaspora investments are significantly different from the traditional that of foreign investment. Moreover, diaspora contribution and investments can be influenced by the same factors which influence them to migrate from their homeland. Right? So why they went to homeland? In order to earn money, in order to stand on their feet, or explore, or to have more passion or something like that. So the same agenda is there for them when they are starting the business. And third is the knowledge transfer, right? So when they look for the knowledge transfer, that is, migration and diaspora encourages transfer of human capital from relatively poor source country to the developed receiving countries. So we discussed on brain drain to brain gain. So brain drain is taking the wealth, knowledge wealth of the countries from the developed by the developed countries from the developing countries or poor countries. And now this knowledge transfer will take place. So it is believed that the outflow of skilled workers diminishes domestic productivity, slows down the economic growth, and increases inequality among the skilled and unskilled workers. That's what when happens in the brain drain, right? And the significant contribution of the diasporas to the development in the country of origin is the transfer of knowledge and skills. So they transfer, and diaspora knowledge transfer basically constitute those with the higher education and specialized skills. So that will happen. And there is also diaspora philanthropy. So now the most important ways to contribute and associate to the countries of origin is through philanthropic engagement. So they will work for the kind of NGOs and startup and work for the people, right? And they do some philanthropic activities like building a school for the differently able community, and they will start some religious organizations, right? And in order to support the needy, right? And they fund in small way, they fund for the education of the underprivileged children and all those things. And they develop a diaspora networks. Another key component of diaspora impact and development of diaspora networks. So okay, they will start networks and get connected, and they will have a diaspora advocacy and community based organization. So these are the very important predominant areas or the diaspora community explore for the development of the nations, right? So that we need to understand how this diaspora community can bring a transformational change in the country, right? And the term diaspora and development have not only the interrelationship between but two has a positive and financial responses for the society too, right? So this diaspora and development encompasses various issues, and now this brings the development. This alleviates the problem of poverty, and since then it gives the political situation, the government and economy are more concerned about the diaspora community. Therefore, it can be argued diasporas are integral parts of the development process for both cause and causing the change in the society, right? So we have some literature support to say that diaspora communities are increasingly recognized as producing economic benefits to the both origin and destination countries. There are a lot of studies where we need to go through, right? And the role of diaspora organizing in reinforcing identity and culture. In globalizing world, diaspora organizations perform multiple roles and mediation between locations and people and country, right? So, meaning and understanding of diaspora organizations, diaspora uh, the diaspora organizations represent communities that have moved away from their homeland but made it strong connections through various forms of engagement. There's a historical context, when we say early diaspora movements due to vast colonialization and economic needs, and modern voluntary migration for education, work, and better living conditions. So, what are the key characteristics? Right. So they have economic contributions, they have a social contribution, they have a cultural integration, and they have a policy influence. So four pillars or four verticals where this diaspora organizations or diaspora community is bringing change in the country through remittances, through engagement in welfare activities, through promoting cultural exchange and adapting new environments and contributing policy making process, right? So we understood this types of diaspora organizations such as hometown associations focused on local community development, examples building schools, hospitals, infrastructure projects, professional groups when we look into comprising skilled individuals such as doctors, engineers, and academics, offering knowledge sharing programs and mentorship opportunities like and political organization engage in lobbying advocacy that will happen in both host countries and home countries and promote political representation and voting rights abroad, and they also form religious organization to preserve the spiritual and cultural values of the diaspora, organizing religious events. Sometimes we see in Saudi Arabia, people have kind of religious festivals. Countries are offering leave in US, right? So Diwali, there is a holiday in most of the states in US, and rituals and community gathering, and business in media groups promotes cross-border trade, investment opportunities, media outlets cater to diaspora audience, keeping them informed. So there is a media groups. So diaspora engagement in homeland development, as we discussed right now, remittances, investment, knowledge transfer is happening. This is the three broad areas, and philanthropy, diaspora networks, advocacy, right? And these are the main areas that where the diaspora engagement in homeland development, right? So, so the community-based organizations, CPOs, what are the key roles of the community-based organization that we need to look into? So, the diaspora community involved in community-based uh, community-based organization. So when you say community-based organization, their main agenda is to uh, solve the social problems or focus on the social problems and how to alleviate or bring support to the community to come out of that. So some philanthropists or a diaspora community who have the passion of contributing to the nation without aiming for the profit. Their aim is to kind of poverty alleviation programs, providing financial aid and skill development training to uplift the underprivileged, and healthcare improvement, like building medical infrastructure, organizing health awareness programs, and people contribute from the host land. So philanthropic attitude. They fund to NGOs and educational initiatives like supporting local schools with the learning materials and infrastructure. People contribute a lot, and educational initiatives providing learning materials and infrastructure, cultural heritage preservation, maintaining and traditional practices, ensuring cultural connectivity, community continuity, and collaboration efforts, working with local governments, partnering with the NGOs, encouraging community participation. So these are the some of the work or contribution to for the community development for the diaspora community, right? And the challenges and future prospects. What are the challenges in it? There is a perception gaps when you look into uh, the diaspora communities uh, contribution. There is a perception gaps. The people look into them in a different way. So misunderstanding between the diaspora and the homeland communities sometimes leads to Sorry for it, there is some connectivity issue. Okay, so the perception, there is a mistrust or misunderstandings between the diaspora and homeland communities, policy barriers, restrictive regulations on foreign investment, dual citizenship, and what is the future prospects, strengthening partnership, enhancing collaboration between governments and diaspora organizations, and we have the encouraging youth development, engaging younger generation to ensure long-term diaspora contributions. So we need to look in for policy reforms that is introducing diaspora-friendly policies to optimize their involvement in national development, right? So what is the role of diaspora organization in development? That's very, very important aspect that we need to look into, right? So So interrelationship between diaspora and development. So diaspora communities play a vital role both in the economic and social development of their home countries, right? And migration and development is interconnected, contributing to global economic flows. We need we the flow that is the people in as diaspora communities or their remittance that the India receives are very high. So diaspora efforts often complement formal development aid. Key aspects when you look into the of diaspora involvement: social contributions, economic contributions, and political contributions. And remittances often surpass foreign aid, supporting millions of families, and philanthropic initiatives in education, healthcare, and social welfare. Right. So knowledge transfer through various ways are taking place in diaspora communities. Right. So that is the role of diaspora in organization in development. And diaspora entrepreneurship and economic development. So major contribution to economic development is in investment in SMEs, small scale industries, right? And startups. Uh, and diaspora members invest in local business, boosting economic activity. As we have discussed, they are the risk takers, right? So there is a technology transfer, introducing modern business practices and innovation from host countries, social and economic capital creation that is enhancing economic resilience in home countries. And there are the benefits of diaspora entrepreneurship. There is a job creation since they start entrepreneurship, innovation and competitiveness, and international networking is happening. And the challenges in diaspora entrepreneurship is lack of access to financing and bureaucratic barriers in home countries, cultural market adaptation, regulatory challenges, and trust deficits. Right. So diaspora organization reinforcing identity and culture. So the role of diaspora organization, cultural preservation efforts, and importance of cultural identity in diaspora is the three verticals when we look into the diaspora organization reinforcing identity and culture, right? So what is the role of diaspora organization in reinforcing identity. It is serving a bridge between the migrants and their home countries, offering the emotional and social support. So that brings the identity and acting as a community hubs for cultural, religious, and social activities. What is the preservation efforts? The cultural preservation efforts, that is organizing cultural events such as festivals, language, class, traditional. As I have said, some countries like US, Canada are offering leave, with Saudi Arabia offering leave for Hindi festivals because we becomes the major labor force there, and promoting native language, customs, religious practices, and there is a cultural identity, belonging, and shared heritage uh, as Indians, as bringing solidarity, enabling the younger generation to stay connected with their roots, and bridging societies and policy advocacy. Right. So, as diaspora community, they facilitate trade relations through diaspora business networks. The trade has been increased. They are able to borrow. The export increases when the diaspora community is scattered different countries, and if they start a business in their host land, and encouraging home government to create diaspora friendly policies to strengthen these connections as well as business. And policy advocacy initiatives, if you look into advocating the dual citizenship and encouraging diaspora inclusion and addressing the issues related to migration, reintegration, and human rights. And programs facilitated by diaspora community organizations is skill development, providing scholarship and mentorship, collaborative projects with the NGOs. So marriage, custody, adoption, and property rights. So migration for economic and employment opportunity leads to complex legal and social issues for migrants. Whether I can go and marry a person in their land, what happens if I marry and take my wife there? These all lot of things related to marriage and custody, right? How I can do have the privilege of the citizenship, and do I adopt, and do I buy property over there, and issues like marriage, divorce, child custody, adoption, property rights become complicated due to differences in legal systems. So legal redressal varies based on the host and home country laws, leading to conflicts and challenges. So diaspora marriages is a key issues, right? So Indian diaspora and marriage trends, strong cultural ties influence marital choices. Preference for marrying within their homeland community due to cultural values, challenges due to differing legal frameworks in host and home countries. What are the legal provisions? So Foreign Marriage Act, we have 1969 governs marriages involving non-Indian citizens. Special Marriage Act 1954 applies to interreligious marriages, including overseas Indians. Personal laws, we have Hindu Marriage Act, Muslim Marriage Act, Christians Marriage Act, and Sikh Marriage Acts apply based on religion and the registration of the marriage. And common issues faced, domestic violence, expertise, divorce, immigration problems, property disputes, and everything. So government initiatives to protect NRIs pause for exploitation, right? So there are a lot of marriage systems, marriage act, which emphasize on how the marriage need to be done, and custody, adoption, property, and Hague Convention. So what is a custody? Child custody disputes often involve legal conflicts between home and host country laws. So adoption, the law vary each country to country, and determining applicable jurisdiction is crucial. And property rights, we don't have property rights in Saudi Arabia, the East Asian countries, and we don't have the citizenship, those countries, and all those things are there. Varies countries to countries. So child abduction and inter-country adoption, property settlements are varies nation to nation. So non-Indian resident spouses case, right? During 2022 Russia-Ukraine war, Indians married to Ukrainians faced execution, evacuation issues, right? So, example, Mahesh couldn't bring its Ukraine wife to India and relocated to Poland, right? So there are issues, right? So Indian law evacuates only Indian citizens, and no immediate provisions for foreign spouse. So green card marriages, divorce laws. So what is a green card marriages? The US grants citizenship for foreign spouses, but penalize sham marriages, right? 2.3 million green card marriages approved from 1998 to 2007. So the Trump is more on green card marriages. Now there are law and amendment is happening on this. So divorce laws for overseas Indians grounds adultery, desertion, 2 years, cruelty, convention, disappearance, and mutual consent, 1 year separation, 6 month waiting period, right? So, intercaste marriage and child custody acceptance, India 23 and diaspora 14. Diaspora conversation due to cultural preservation. And child custody, mothers get custody of children under 5. Hindu law, father is a natural guardian after 5. Courts prioritize child welfare, right? So, child custody means a lot. So, international adoption of children. So, there are various laws which says about the international adoption of children in different countries, right? Right? So, international adoption involves relocating a child across countries due to parental migration. Adoption law focuses on citizenship, residency over child welfare, and we have challenges including neglect, abuse, and exploitation risk. So, there are some various laws which clearly indicates uh, clearly indicates what has to be and how has to be done. The law guides them, right? And adoption laws for overseas Indians. So adoption governed by Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. We have NRI OCE parents need to NOC to take the child abroad. So they need to get a NOC from the government before they take the child abroad. So Indian missions monitor the welfare of the adopted children. And Hajj Adoption Convention protect child welfare in international adoption. So there are a lot of laws and uh, things which need to be kept in mind when we are looking into the adoption laws for the overseas Indians, right? So challenges and safeguards in adoption. So how convention protect children, but India is signatory. So concerns over parental abduction and forced retention. So even as a parent, you cannot abduct the child or force the child to be with you. And Justice Rajesh Bindal Committee proposed dispute resolution authority. Government departments like uh, WCD, MEA, Law Ministry, MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs collaborate on adoption laws. So stricter regulation have reduced misuse of adoption laws in India, right? Just we cannot adopt the child. So there is a human trafficking and diaspora philanthropy. So what is human trafficking? The human are abducted for various reasons, right? So for drugs usage or for prostitution, for misuse the people or organ stealing the organ for various purposes, human are trafficked. Means according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, it is defined that harboring or receipt of persons by means of threat or use of force or other force of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, and abuse of the power or the position of vulnerability or giving or receiving any payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. So even if you give them money and take them away, it is also a trafficking, right? So anything, if you want to be the purpose of exploiting a person, if you are taking the person on your custody, then it's a human trafficking, right? So types of human trafficking, when you look into it, is sex trafficking, exploitation for commercial sex, forced labor, exploitation through bonded or unpaid labor, child trafficking, exploitation of minors for various purposes, right? So exploitation takes place. And causes of human trafficking is poverty and unemployment, lack of education and awareness, corruption, weak law enforcement, demand for cheap labor and exploitation. So these are the ways why people are trafficked. Consequences of human trafficking is physical and psychological trauma, violation of human rights, and economic and social impacts on victims and society. Right? So these are the consequences of human trafficking when we look into global and regional trends. Countries most affected, that is source, transit, destination countries, uh, and emerging trends and online exploitation. Case studies are for exams if applicable, and we have our textbook has a lot of case studies. Even if you read newspapers, we find a lot of emerging trends and online exploitations, trafficking, right? So people are being cheated now. Cybercrime is India is standing high in cybercrime, right? People being called and losing money, losing people due to cybercrime, and laws and regulations, international conventions like Palmero Protocol, national laws and frameworks to combat trafficking, role of NGOs and human rights organizations, right? So, what is the role of social workers in it? Identifying victims and providing support, advocacy and raising awareness, collaboration with law enforcement and NGOs, right? So, we play a vital role. Prevention and rehabilitation, so awareness campaigns and education empowering vulnerable population, rehabilitation and reintegration of the survivors are the main core areas where we can contribute. And we have where human trafficking is a grave violation of human rights that affects millions of individuals worldwide and leave deep physical and psychological and social scars in the people, and it thrives on vulnerabilities, poverty, and systematic inequalities, making it a complex issue requiring global cooperation. So, definition of diaspora philanthropy. What is philanthropy? Refers to the charitable contribution living outside their country of origin to support development, welfare, and other initiatives in their home country. So, philanthropic activity is a social service without aiming for any kind of profit or any kind of reward for that, right? So, key features of diaspora philanthropy is a strong emotional ties to home. A person wants to contribute to the country because he has the emotional tie with their country, and dual citizenship or transnational identity he has, and focus on education, health, and infrastructure. So, what is the motivation for diaspora philanthropy? Is a cultural and emotional attachment, desire to give back to the community. We normally see people like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, even though he's not a diaspora person, giving back to the community, right? That should be there, like Mahatma Gandhi, right? Dr. Ambedkar, giving back to the community, fight for them, fight for their rights, right? So religious and social obligations where they feel they need to give up, right? So types of diaspora philanthropy is the individual contributions. They just contribute to the school, contribute to education. They give a lakhs of amount and see to it it is being used for the purpose what they contribute. And the collective effort, sometimes organization, community, groups, they come as a collectively come together and contribute. And there is a corporate social responsibility for diaspora-owned businesses, right? CSR. So India is now 2% of the contribution of the profit-making organization, which is more than 5 crores, need to spend for the CSR work. So that's the thing. And challenges in diaspora philanthropy, lack of trust in local organizations, bureaucratic hurdles in host and home countries, sustainability of philanthropic projects are the main areas. So, role of technology in diaspora philanthropy is online fundraising platforms, social media for awareness and mobilization, blockchain for transparency in donations. Right. So, case studies like Indian diaspora funding schools and hospitals, they have said, African diaspora supporting small business and scholarships, Chinese diaspora infrastructure projects in rural areas. So, importance of diaspora philosophy is economic development, cultural preservation, social welfare and empowerment, knowledge and skills transfer, humanitarian assistance, and reduction of inequalities in the country. So, the philanthropy attitude need to be encouraged in the diaspora community. So, impact of diaspora philanthropy is improved healthcare and education facilities, boost in local economy, preservation of cultural heritage. So, with this, last class, we discussed a lot of things like what is diaspora organization and the meaning of understanding of diaspora organizations, types of diaspora organization like hometown association, business media groups, political organizations, and diaspora engagement, homeland development through remittances, investment, knowledge transfer, philanthropy, diaspora networks, advocacy, and especially we had a deep understanding on what is community-based organization, challenges and future prospects that we discussed. And we have the role of diaspora organization in development and the diaspora entrepreneurship and economic development, right? This is the main core for providing the economic, accelerating the economic activities in the homeland. Diaspora organization reinforcing identity and culture through various ways, especially on serving the bridge between the migrant and their homeland, cultural preservation efforts, and cultural identity in diaspora. So, bridging societies and policy advocacy that we discussed, especially marriage, custody, and adoption and property. These are the core areas we need to understand when we look into the diaspora people, because in this countries to country, the issues related to the act related to marriage, divorce, child custody, adoption, having the property right differs. So we need to have a legal awareness on those areas, and how to approach the legal literacy were also important. So Indian diaspora and marriage trends, legal provisions related to it, common issues faced. We discuss on custody, adoption, property, and how conventions. We are not a signatory of how convention, and international adoption of children, adoption laws for overseas Indian, challenges and safeguards in adoption, and what is human trafficking and diaspora philanthropy, that also we discussed, right? So types of human trafficking like sex trafficking, forced labor, child trafficking, causes of child human trafficking, right? And the consequences and all. So we also learned on the diaspora philanthropy, the importance of diaspora philanthropy, motivations related to it, and how various types of diaspora philanthropy and role case studies. So I request all the learners to put the newspapers, go through the concepts very clearly, so that it will help you uh, understand and uh, get more knowledge on the diaspora community, well, in terms of their link or their support towards the homeland and vice versa, right? So thank you for joining.